Welcome back to World of Warships and welcome aboard the Bismarck. And this was one of the battles that I played, obviously, to unlock the Friedrich der Große, which will, well, the rest of the video be about. And I go right into it. This was a scene where I had heavy mispositioning and my only way was going forward. And there is a tier 9 American battleship, the mighty Iowa. And I'm just a tier 8 battleship. However, I have Turtleback. He cannot citadel me. I have great secondaries and I have very good gun traverse on my main batteries. He doesn't. And so I threaten to ram him, he turns into it and he offers me his broadside. Well, not much that he can do about it at this moment. And we hammer it, the juicy shots, and we secure the citadels. Oh yeah, that was nice. But you know, World of Warships being a wargaming title, you need money. You need money, don't you? And so I also have the Scharnhorst and the Tirpitz, and you know, I love my German battleships, but they're really great. I have played the American ones, long-range sniper, that are a bit dull for my playstyle. Then there are the Japanese, and after the Fuso, you know, it couldn't get better. And here I am in my element. There is a Cyclone. Spotting range is drastically reduced for everybody, and I'm in a German battleship. You know, it's all about this fast firing guns, fast turret traverse, in this case even torpedoes, secondaries, turtleback armor, you name it. And I just went right into the well, remaining enemy team, and we were capturing a zone, or at least we're contesting it to stop the ticket gain by the enemy. My secondaries go wild on all directions. I actually missed here the opportunity to focus fire them, but it doesn't really matter. This is German Battleship 101. I get a torpedo hit, sadly no flooding, but it doesn't matter, there is another one. I'm right in the pack between 3 battleships. This is where I love to be, as a German berserker. And indeed, my captain is having the berserker build. That means I have adrenaline rush. That means the more damage I take, the faster my guns and my secondaries and my torpedoes are ready to fire again. And you can see I'm hammering in all sides. I'm getting in those hits. No, it's not the most efficient one, but it's fun. And occasionally you set fires. There is the Bayern tier 6 German battleship, an absolute awesome ship, I have to say. Get another torpedo hit on this, what is it, Queen Elizabeth, and I go into brawling. I go into a melee duel with this, and you can see they were just so overwhelmed because the team pushed with me. It was exciting, it was awesome, and I just couldn't resist to show this scene. And you know, I need to make money for my tier 9 battleship, and I don't want to sell the Bismarck yet. And I get good hits into the enemy battleship, the Queen Elizabeth. It was indeed, and I finish off with a double strike with a torpedo hit on the barn, and I get over 300,000 credits. But you know, all this was just, well, for getting this beauty, the German tier 9 battleship Friedrich der Große. It's not fully upgraded, and in fact this was the first match where I got the range upgrade to 20.3 kilometers, because 18.3, something like this, you always were just out of range of the enemies. And the captain build is not optimal for this ship. It's sort of a hybrid, but I'm not fully secondary spec because I'm not using the modules. And you know, if you think that this ship looks like a Bismarck, you'd be right. It is like a bigger Bismarck. You have bigger secondaries for, you swap the 105mm, well, anti-aircraft guns for 128mm. You have better anti-aircraft. You actually can spec for a really trollish anti-aircraft build, but thankfully no carrier in this gameplay, because, you know, you have a problem with German battleships, and that is the torpedo protection, the torpedo belt, which is awful. And you know, I wanted to present you this because there was no ship test for War Thunder this weekend where I could, you know, rant about how bad it is and how unfun, yet couldn't stop playing it, you know, typical me. So I figured out, you know, give World of Warships another go. And a lot of you subscribers out there might be wondering, what? you play something else. I mean, it's been a while since I uploaded the last video, and you can see me here on the minimap. I'm patrolling both in front of the channel to ensure that nobody is entering this zone to capture our, you know, our, well, cap zone. I would be spotted. Even if I couldn't see the enemy, I get a message that I'm spotted and I know somebody is in a channel. I'm not aircraft spotted, no radar, no hydro, they're too far away, no line of sight to the enemies, and I also switched sides, so I think the left side is good enough, but the right side doesn't have a battleship, and there are some battleships coming this way, so I'm top tier. I have to carry, I have to be the battleship. I have to attract the fire, I have to attract the torpedoes, and I have to negate the enemy, the easy kill on me. And you know, you just have the armor to do so, especially in the Friedrich der Große. However, when it comes to receiving huge volleys, I'm not quite sure about the armor on the Friedrich compared to the Bismarck. Now the Bismarck, you know, I was like, Yamato, what's that? I mean, you still took massive damage, but you were not able to citadel the Bismarck, except for some really weird, strange shots. And, well, it's with the Friedrich, I receive a lot of citadels at range, plunging fire. But that was never an issue in the Bismarck. Yes, the ship is bigger, yes, you know, the guns that you're facing on average are nastier, but then again, it really feels not like an upgrade armor-wise, and you're not faster, and you feel more like an actual battleship than this battlecruiser battleship hybrid that the Bismarck is. But then there are the guns. And the Bismarck is a bit underwhelming in this respect, because at tier 8 it still features just 8 15-inch guns or 380mm guns. First of all, historically accurate. The rate of fire is relatively close to what the Bismarck could do in real life. The Bismarck was able to fire 3 shots a minute, so every 20 seconds. The reload on the Bismarck in-game is 25, and so is the reload on this guns, and those are not the upgraded ones, but you might think, aha, you have 15-inch guns as well. No. Those are German 16-inch guns, and to, you know, your eternal surprise, there is some historical, you know, reference. See, the Bismarck was just hastily put into service to get the raids on the convoys done, and the only guns that were available were 15-inch guns. But the ship could carry 16-inch guns, ton displacement, size, turret rings, you name it. But they were just not ready. And 15-inch guns were also pretty big guns. And so the Bismarck made its well, first combat and last combat sortie with 15-inch guns. They were good enough to blow the hood out of the water, but you know, for in-game purposes, you'd expect upgrades to 16-inch guns, right? Because that was planned. No, the Friedrich is, for all intents and purposes, one of the H-class battleships. They were planned, and it was, I think this is a H-41 design, so a bit bigger, but roughly around about the same armor. Then you have the little secondaries, or the anti-aircraft guns, are from the Gneisenau. Not the Scharnhorst. The Gneisenau was also planned to get then the 15-inch guns of the Bismarck, which sadly was sunk. The Tirpitz was going nowhere in terms of where it was stuck in Norway. So it was kind of a bit, the Second World War came at a time where the German Navy just wasn't ready, and you know, that's an Amagi. It really hits hard. I gave him the side of my ship at the wrong time at a certain range, and he has 10 410mm guns. They are nasty. But then let's come to the 16-inch guns. There were actually some 16-inch guns built in preparation to fit them to the Bismarck, but then the Bismarck was sunk, the Tirpitz was going nowhere, so what to do with them? Well, some of them found their place in the Atlantic Wall in France, and there were just not enough to cover the entirety of the wall, of course, but there was some. So, you know, some of the stuff was actually built, and one of the H classes actually was, you know, Germany began to build it. So at the outbreak of the Second World War, there was actually the bottom of the ship was laid down, many pieces were already built, and then it was interrupted to build the ship, and just yeah, it was not built. That's the end of it, practically. Here in World of Warships, Friedrich der Große, I think it's still pretty much made up from the design. And I have the 16-inch guns. And there is a big difference compared to the 15-inch guns in the actual results. So first of all, you don't get into melee range that often, because I found out it's really unhealthy with the Friedrich compared to the Bismarck, despite having hydroacoustic surge and all that good stuff, and secondaries. But the secondaries, despite being practically better, are not really that much more useful compared to the Bismarck. The Bismarck is really this melee range brawler, this knife fighter, this absolute horror of battleships, cruisers and destroyers. The Friedrich, it fulfills more the role of a battleship. It has a greater health pool, it's a bit slower, at least initially, but also later on, I guess. And it has guns that are more accurate, that feel much more accurate, and that hit harder. And they have more penetration, and the fuse is also better, so you get less over penetrations. You just get more damage out of your volleys, reliable. And your secondaries are still nothing to be ashamed of. And you know, remember, I have not a secondary module on this ship. So I'm just circling here away, making it difficult for the potential destroyers to torpedo me. And there you can see, there are the torpedoes that I expected. The battleships cannot really hit me that hard, and I'm still a threat. They cannot afford to give me broadside, otherwise I would punch them in the face really hard, or let's say the broadside. I'm getting here support from my cruiser, and we're just doing this retreating battle. We just annoy the hell out of the enemy, and you know, actually we lost more ships than the enemy. So we have lost 2 of our destroyers, and destroyers are really important in this game to provide vision, torpedo warning, scouting, capturing of zones. Well, in this game mode it's not that important, but you know, you need to have the balance. And what a destroyer has the best going for it is a battleship behind him. You can help him in a destroyer fight because the AP is really strong, even against destroyers, which is a bit unexpected. And the more a destroyer angles, the more real penetrations you get compared to over penetrations. And there I circle away again, and we have a Belfast. Is that a Belfast? Really, the preview is really small, and he got extremely lucky. And there is another portion of torpedoes. I expected them even without hydroacoustic surge. Common game sense tells me there are torpedoes, and I dodged them big time. And you see how hesitant they are, but here is the problem. There is an island in front of me, and I have to turn around. I have to not get stuck on the island. I have to keep moving. I get a good hit into this, I guess, lion. The preview is really not that great for me. And so far I have not sunk anybody, I have not inflicted critical damage, not this knockout blow volleys that I also got on cruisers from time to time, which are so rare in the Bismarck, but so much more common in the Friedrich compared to the Bismarck. Now, something like an Amagi or a North Carolina, something like this, or the tier 9 battleship equivalents of the other nations, Izumo and Iowa, they do this on a regular basis, but you know, they don't have a turtleback, they don't have anything for it. And look at this, look at my fire. It just burns for around about 33 seconds, I'm almost halfway through, so this double fire actually hurts me more like a regular single fire. And yeah, it looks like the ship is burning in total because I've gone for the tank build, for the fire prevention that unites the 2 sections of the superstructure to one, so the fire looks bigger on the middle of the ship, but it's just 1 instead of 2, so you get less damage. And I'm getting hammered here quite a bit, but I can take it. I am a battleship. I have to draw the fire away from the cruisers and still be this massive threat gun-wise. And by kind of fleeing from the enemy, I make one of the big threats not so much of a threat anymore, which are torpedoes, because, you know, they have to close the distance to me and keep up with me, and I just have so much more time to evade them. And you can see this Gneisenau now has a bad time being in my secondary range and getting hammered by my main batteries. Now he's giving me broadside, critical mistake. I cannot citadel him as well, and you know, the dispersion lets me down. My aim is not that bad, but you can see the shells go to... and there is a smoke, totally planned, but I'm still spotted because of the new spotting mechanics. If I wouldn't fire for like 20 seconds, I wouldn't have this pre-buff, but my gunfire intervals are not the same from the front and the back guns, so I'm constantly shooting. I need to deal damage. I cannot allow to stay in the smoke and just fall back, so to speak. And still, I'm hammering this Gneisenau, dealing all the damage. That was a nice volley. It was not this knockout blow, 20k volley. You just have to play other nations' battleships. But those German 16-inch guns, they still have a reload of 25 seconds around about this. And there are still so much more torpedoes in the water. Lester Gneisenau, he tried to torpedo me with 6-kilometer range torpedoes. Yeah, I'm running hydro the last seconds of it. And now I have done over 100,000 damage. And I have held this flank. I've held this flank so much that the rest of my team on the left flank or the western flank could deal with the enemy. I'm no longer spotted. This is where I can afford to turn around. I've run through all my heals. This is a good sign for a battleship captain. Hey, I've done my duty. I've done my job. I've taken the damage. Look at this Neptune. He's still there. And then there's the destroyer. Oh boy. And he's in secondary range. Yeah, you don't want to be in secondary range of a German battleship. Sadly, no chance to show the hammering of the secondaries because he was quickly taken out by the Pensacola. So that's interesting. Then there is the cruiser. And I have a good shot at him. But dispersion says... How was that a citadel? That was the first citadel of the game. Okay, I take it. Another shot's out just behind the island. I get the island warning, so I don't think that the shots will go through. Will they go through? Come on, show me. One shell is going through. Finally, luck is with me. I love it. If a battle goes like this, I absolutely love World of Warships. Most of the time, you miss all your shots, you just eat a face full of torpedoes, you hammer your damage control party, you get set on fire on 3 different locations with a single volley despite your fire prevention skill, and that's then the battle. In this case, however, everything was nice, and yeah, that was a first good battle in the Friedrich der Große. That's actually the end of the game. I just got 1 kill, just 1 citadel, but I think there was still a lot of action, a lot of maneuvering, thinking, outplaying the enemy, getting the good hits in for my cruisers to whittle down the enemy. I mean, you can look at the team score, who was with me, and watch this shot. That was totally planned. Spoiler alert, the lead is wrong. Up until the point that he gets stuck on the island. Blep. That was the last kill. So I got 2 kills, just over 120,000 damage. And you know, the Dreadnought award, it's okay. Still, I had to pay a little bit because reasons. So this is World of Warships for you. From time to time I play it. I hope you don't mind to upload a video like this once in a while for a change. And yeah, there was no ship test in Warthorn, so I had to play World of Warships for my daily ship doses, or my weekly ship doses. And yeah, that's it for me. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Please give this video a like, but subscribe if you want to see more. And we'll see each other maybe at some point in World of Warships as well.